This fire comes after months of residents asking the Flint School Board to do something with the school building and many conversations held by the school board to figure it out. Now, after this fire, people who live near the school tell me they aren't surprised this happened, but they are disappointed.
We were waiting for this to happen, unfortunately.
Less than a month after the Flint School Board held a meeting to discuss the possibility of demolishing two vacant Flint school buildings, Central High School, one of the schools being considered, went up in flames.
They found multiple sets, so he did contact arson, waiting for arson to come in to do an investigation.
Flint Fire Chief Barton says one of the fires started on the first floor and several others were set on the second floor. We talked to a neighbor, Lisa Bodette, who saw the smoke and called 911.
When we pulled around, there was smoking out of the main tower there, and the doors, I guess it's the old gym or the connector to Whittier, and within a minute it just started to billow black smoke, and we saw flames, and I don't know, I still choke up because there's a lot of history there.
It's damaged, but again, it's not a lot, but it could easily, in a building that size and it's open with the windows and stuff like that busted out, it could easily got out of hand. We were lucky today.
Chief Barton says the Grand Blanc Fire Department and City of Burton fire also responded. He says there is some damage to the inside, but the building is structurally stable. Bodette is calling for something to be done.
I want the Flint community schools to do something. They're not doing anything, and it's not just decreasing property values, but to me it's the safety and just it's an eyesore at this point.
Bodette is a lifelong Flint resident. She tells me people trespass and wander the abandoned building frequently. She tells me she hopes this is a wake-up call.
Hopefully the Flint schools board and members wake up and do something, because it's just too much, because so much happens up here.
The Army says a number of factors have come together to create the perfect storm for lower recruitment. But despite the challenges, the Army says it will continue to prioritize the quality of recruits over quantity.
Besides the U.S. Army's mission to deploy, fight, and win our nation's wars, there's another goal.
Looking to find some qualified people to help put in the Army to make our great nation even greater.
Staff Sergeant Richard Timothy arrived at the U.S. Army recruiting station at Flint Township in December 2020 after serving 8 years in the military. He says he wanted to help the country, but the Army also helped him.
More discipline and holding myself accountable for all the things that I never was really strong in doing before.
He says there was a surge of recruits following the 9/11 attacks, but during the next decade, they started experiencing a shortage, and the pandemic only worsened the problem.
People sitting on the couch, gaining weight, not being able to be physically active because of COVID, and then not being able to attend school to get the requirements and the education that they need to help pass the Armed Service Aptitude Test.
The Army says that only 23% of 17 to 24-year-olds meet the requirements to serve, down from 29% in recent years. 3/4 of young adults admit not knowing much about the Army, and younger Americans are losing interest in serving as they lose trust and confidence. One of the issues here in Michigan is the state's legal recreational and medical marijuana.
So as this being a federal agency, you cannot have any drugs in your system whatsoever.
And sometimes people are just concerned about timing.
Not wanting to join right now because, Christmas is coming up and stuff like that, and they don't want to miss their family, and they think that because of the incidences going on in Ukraine and Russia.
To try to turn things around, the Army is offering incentives like bonuses up to $50,000 for new recruits, and a bonus for those who can quickly ship. Recruits can get the chance to choose their first duty station and get 30 days of vacation, tuition assistance, and more.
It's not much to say that the Army is offering large sums of money, but a lot of other companies are as well, and it's easier to go work at McDonald's or something of that nature.
He says even if the Army is not your end game goal,
you can use that training to then get more certifications while in the Army, which helps you in the future for that job of your choice.
To address this issue, $1.2 million is being allocated from the 2023 Michigan state budget to go towards suicide prevention hotline and crisis counselors.
I think it is just, critically important to continue to break down these barriers and continue to focus on health and wellness for all people of our state, and especially those who have served us.
Representative Rachel Hood worked to secure more than $1 million in this budget. She knows firsthand the impact post-traumatic stress disorder can have on veterans after they served.
I grew up the daughter of a veteran who served in Vietnam.
Hood saying when her father returned from Vietnam, there was not a lot of resources for veterans to address mental health.
I think these services will continue to be necessary for veterans who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan and other places around the world where they are helping us to move forward past conflict.
The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs says suicides among veterans decreased in 2020. In 2020, 343 veterans died by suicide. The VA says from 2016 to 2020, 882 Michigan veterans died by suicide, an average in the state of 176 suicides annually over 5 years.
So I hope that is evidence of the many services and resources that we have invested as a state and, of course, in our local communities as well to help this population move forward.
The Barb Smith Suicide Resource and Response Network works to destigmatize suicide and caring for those impacted.
It's the devastation that's left behind, the children of, the spouses of, the families of these veterans who are ending their life when really that did not need to be their only option.